Hello class, welcome to our next distance learning lesson, types of triangles. So this is Monday the 23rd, 1 p.m. to 2 p.m. Google Meet like usual, every day Monday through Friday. So here's our focus learning target, FLT. Please copy this all down and answer this question before we move on. So I'll give us 3, 2, 1, 0. The expectation right now is that you have paused the video, you copied everything down, and you're ready to move on. So I'm going to talk about the word of the day. So this is actually pronounced two different ways, either liang or liang. So the tone is different. So like L-I-A-N-G, liang, that sound is still the same. It's just liang is going up, liang is going down. So liang is a verb. So the going up one is a verb, which means to measure. Liang is a noun. It means the amount of something. So liang is the one going down. So actually, both of these are going to be useful for today. You might have guessed something like, well, let's see. Measure stuff? Well, we're going to identify necessary angles or sides. So that's measuring, right? Amount of something. Well, angles and sides are something with an amount, so it might be related to that too. And we might be, when we synthesize. So synthesize basically means we get information, we put it together, and give meaning to it. So basically, give meaning to information. That's what synthesize essentially means. So you could have guessed something maybe along those lines. All right, let's move on. So you're gonna need a few things for this activity. So first, just write down the definitions, and you're gonna need actually three pieces of something straight. I suggest something like pasta, maybe. You're also going to need another 3 here. You might be able to use some of the ones up there depending on you. So just get like a few pieces of paper or pasta. And right now, again, pause and copy this down. I'm going to move on and assume that you already paused in 3, 2, 1, 0. Okay, so equilateral triangle is one where all 3 sides are congruent. So 3 sides congruent. This is pronounced isosceles. So yes, say that with me. Isosceles. It's a Greek word. That's why it sounds kind of strange. So that's where 2 are congruent. So the 2 congruent ones are called legs, and the other one is called the base. Scalene, that just means everything's different. So there's nothing special about it. All the sides do not match. All right, properties. So what we're going to do here is we're going to try to figure something out. Let's try to see, well, what happens when we do have everything the same. So I'm going to get 3 identical pieces like this. And how I'm going to make sure they're identical is I'm going to use Photoshop to copy them so that they are identical. So let's try to create a triangle from this. So I'm assuming at this point you have 3 pieces of like pasta or paper or like 3, I don't know, toothpicks or something like that. Okay, that didn't do what I thought it was going to do. Oh, I didn't press that. So let's... Interesting. Let me check my layers. Yeah, that's not supposed to be there. Anyway, so let's move that thing around and let's try to create a triangle from this. So let's go part by part. So if you were to move this thing around and try to create a triangle, then we have, let's see, I'm gonna zoom in so that we can see a bit more clearly here. You should kind of play around with it yourself also. And then I guess you're getting a little bit of a sneak peek of how do you do Photoshop. So yeah, we got like something like that. Let's zoom out. Maybe that'll work. Don't know. And then let's try to create a rectangle from here also. A triangle with this thing also. So does that fit? Almost. It almost fits perfectly. Let's see if we can angle it a little bit. Does it work? Not completely. So you might be like, no, but it fits perfectly. Not perfectly, almost. This one needs to be a little bit more different. So I'm gonna lasso tool that. You have something like pasta, so, or spaghetti, so you can literally just move yours. I need to do it this way. There is no other way for me to do it, so if I angle that out a little bit, then that becomes basically what I need. Just trust me, it would be perfect if I were to use like something like pasta. But I can't really show that digitally, so I figured this is probably the easiest solution. So once you have something like that, try to see, well, can you do it any other way? So if I move this over here and try it, make sure I'm still on the layer. Don't know why it changed me the other time. Can we create another triangle from this? So let's move that and let's put it at some random angle and see, does it work? The fact that Photoshop snaps some things into place is nice, but it's also kind of annoying. Let's see, does this thing fit in there? No, it looks like it's kind of short. Because we need to, even if we rotate it, that's still not going to meet there. So it looks like that's not possible. Just trying that random angle didn't seem to work. Like no matter where we move it, it's not going to still contain that part. So let's actually look at this. And I want you to take an educated guess as to what do you think, what do you notice about the angles? So I'm going to assume that you're pausing the video and go into this in 3, 2, 1, 0. So again, I'm going to grade you. You're going to be graded for this. I'm going to grade you just on having a guess. Please don't copy from other people's guesses. I'm going to start marking people off if I see everybody have the exact same guess in the exact same wording. I can tell if everyone's guessing the same on their own, and if everybody's guessing, or supposedly guessing, but from copying. It's really obvious. If you've ever graded papers, it's obvious. I want you to guess, not somebody else. So something you might notice is the angles look actually pretty much the same. So let's check that out. Let's actually move this thing around and see, does that thing match? Obviously it matches here because that's where I got it from, but let's look at this. If we were to put it there, is it the same angle? Yeah, that matches exactly the same. Let's take it up there. Is this the same angle? So let's try to match it as best as possible. Let me move the axis of rotation up there. Yep, that matches also. So what that tells us is that all three angles are the same. So all three angles are congruent. That means same. So we already knew that the sides were the same because that's what equilateral means. Lateral comes from a Latin word that means side. So all the sides are the same. That means all the angles actually are the same also. That's interesting. So I want you to think. If all the angles are the same, what do you think the measure of each angle is? So how many degrees is each of these? So I'm going to give us a few minutes, just think about that. So again, pause, take a guess. I'm going to give you credit on guessing and giving a reason. Like, show me with math. You're going to use numbers, trust me. So I'm going to assume you paused, and I will move on in 3, 2, 1, 0. So inside of a triangle, what's the total? So remember this thing? Triangle sum. The sum of interior angles is 180 degrees. If they're all the same, how many angles are there? There's 3. So then that should give us 60 degrees. So inside there we have 60, 60, and 60. If we add them together, we end up with 180. And they're all the same, so that actually works. 60 degrees all around inside. Alright, next thing. If you needed that and I moved too quick, just pause, go back, pause the video, copy it down. Okay, so do the same thing, but with 2 of the same size and 1 different. Because we want an isosceles. That's saying 2 sides are the same. And then when you're done making it, take a guess. Again, just like the last one. We're making a guess. So those are 2 of the same. And then a random different one. I hope that one works. Let's try this. Yeah, that'll definitely work. So I'm assuming that you've already paused the video and started doing this yourself also. So I'm gonna move on. So let's do this. Let's get 2 of those. And put them together. I'm going to actually do that on a different layer. You'll see why. I'm not sure why that piece is still there. I'll erase it. Oop. Yeah, that little shadow's there. Alright. So, let's get that that other piece and try to fit it there. So I'm going to put it onto this part. And again, you're working with like pasta or something, so it should be a lot easier to work with. I'm working digitally, so... Okay, so that's not quite perfect. So let's see, if I were to rotate that in, it'll probably go more there-ish. Let's try it. Again, we're experimenting with stuff, so it's all good. Move the axis of rotation right there. Now let's start rotating this thing. If I rotate it, it's going to go kind of that way. Okay, so that means that thing needs to be a little bit more... Oh, wrong layer. It's supposed to be a little bit more downish. So let's try that. Okay, so that fits perfectly. So now, again, take a guess. What do you notice about the angles? Anything look special? And then I'm going to take a bit of time. 3, 2, 1. I'm assuming you paused. You took a guess. So these two angles are actually congruent. They're the same. And how can we see that? Well, let's take that little piece and let's bring it this way. Yeah, that should work. I'm going to zoom really into that so that we can really see it. So just put that over there. All right. So if I were to do this, notice I'm just putting it right onto there. They match pretty much perfectly. So we have 2 more congruent angles. But is it the same as up there? Let's check. So you might be like, well, everything looks like it's going to be the same. So let's check that thing. Let's put that there. Some of you who maybe do art or something, you can kind of already tell, like, oh, nope, that's not going to happen. Yeah, so if I line this up here, that doesn't go there. But what if I do it the other way? Line it up there. Okay, yeah, that doesn't go onto the other part either. So that angle is different. So it's not like you're going to get the same thing every time. But yeah, so essentially, these 2 angles are the same. So this is the base, and these 2 are called the base angles. And these are the sides that are congruent. So putting a line on each of them shows that they are congruent. That's just a math notation. All right, so again, if you need to, pause, write down, move on. If I move too quickly for you, just go back and do that. All right, now I want to have you take a guess as to what you think is going to happen with a scalene triangle. So remember, all 3 sides are different. What do you think about the angles? Are they going to be the same, or are they going to be different? Or something else? And explain. Use the sentence frame if you need to. So I'm assuming you did this, and I'm going to move on in 3, 2, 1, 0. So let's try constructing a random scalene triangle. So let's move that, or I meant to copy that, not move it. Just in case I need that in sometime later. So let's random angle on that. So let's do that on a different layer actually. Okay. Now let's do this one on also another layer, just to make it easier to do like anything with it later on, to rotate if necessary. Okay, let's see. Well, it looks like maybe we're gonna need to have a bit of a different angle there. Let's try something like that. Let's see if this one's even possible. I hope it is. That's on class notes? Yes. All right. Okay, yeah, well, apparently that is not possible. Let me cut the other one a little bit. I am kind of making this off the cuff, so is that the phrase, or on the fly? Just, I didn't necessarily plan this one specifically super out, but that can actually show us like why triangle inequality works the way that it works. Because if these two sides are not long enough, you cannot make a triangle, because it's just going to be even less than this longer one. Okay, this looks promising. This should work out. So I'm going to have to do this one a bit more out like this. And then now let's get that thing. Is that going to work out? Yeah, that just needs to be a bit more in now. Yeah, so that is a scalene triangle. So, some of you might have guessed something about this and might have made some guesses as like maybe things might be different. Let's see it. So let's put all these together actually first, so that we can actually create an angle. So I'm gonna take this thing out, and now let's measure it and compare it to the others. I think it's pretty obvious that it's not gonna fit on this one, but maybe that one. Let's check. So it looks like when we put it exactly on this line, nope, it doesn't quite work. Well, what if we did this? Let's try the other line. Yeah, no, that don't work either. So this one is actually equal to none of the sides. So none of the sides are equal, because all three sides are different as well. So that means when we have sides that are the same, if we look at that relationship, across from the sides that are the same, you have congruent angles. Here, that's the same as that and that, because it's equilateral, so all the angles have to be congruent too. So what I want us to do right now then, so we kind of did a bit of an I do and a we do together. So now I want us to answer one question. I'm going to move just directly onto the you do section right now then. So just remember, all sides and angles are different. So we've done quite a bit already in here. Actually, no. Why did I say we're gonna go to the you-do section? We're going to the we-do, just real quick. I want you to just spend 2 minutes real quick on this to see scalene equilateral. So scalene equilateral or isosceles. These are not drawn to scale, which means that it's possible that just because it looks like something doesn't mean that it is. So I'm going to pause. 3, 2, 1, 0. Okay, let's check this out. I guess one thing we can do is try to find what's the next angle. 30, 70. So what is this? So 30 plus 70 plus x equals 180. So that's 100 plus x equals 180. So that means x has to be 80. Because we subtract 100 from both sides. X equals 80. This is not the same as either of those. So you can say this means because. So because all angles are different, therefore all sides are different. So this is a scalene triangle. I think my Photoshop's starting to lag because I've been doing a lot of videos. This is scalene. So I have my answer, I have my reason there also, the because part. Let me just make sure. Okay, yeah. I just wanted to make sure that I wasn't recording for like 20 minutes and then, oh, nothing got recorded. All right, take 2 minutes, pause. I'm going to move on to 3, 2, 1, 0. Okay, so here we have 60 and 60. Let's try that angle thing again. What is this? So 60 plus 60 plus x equals our favorite number, 180 degrees. 60 and 60 together makes 120 plus x equals 180. Let's subtract 120. And you will see that our result is 60. Okay, so that looks interesting. That looks familiar. So we have 60, 60, 60. So, because all angles are congruent, therefore all sides are congruent. So this is equilateral. All right. I'll go to number 3 and then I'll show you number 4 as a extra credit problem. So if you do number 4, because I just don't want this to be too long. All right. So that's number 3. I'll show you number 4 also. You can do with that one again for extra credit. So I'm going to pause. 3, 2, 1, 0. Okay, so here we have something a little bit easier because we're directly given 2 of the sides. So we have 2 sides that are the same and we have one that's different. So because 2 sides are congruent, therefore, this is literally just a definition of isosceles. Therefore, this is isosceles. And this one, yeah. Just do that as an extra I do problem, I guess. If I see it and it's you made a good attempt at it, then I'll give you extra credit on that when you turn it in. So the you do section is just one question. I want you to think about this. Again, I don't want this to go on too long, so I'm just going to end the video here. Just pause it if you need to do that. So the requirements for full credit are at least 3 complete sentences. Necesitan hacerlo en inglés. Si necesitas usar español primero, puedes usar español, entonces traducirlo a inglés. Okay? Great. And academic language. So when I say academic language, this is okay. So you have to do some sort of thing that is related to math. Like show me that you're using the vocabulary. Alright, so pause it here if you need to. And yes. See you all in the next video.